Hello, and welcome to the English Channel, a simple space for curious minds and growing English skills.
Hi, I'm Liam.
And I'm Lisa.
Welcome to the deep dive. You know that feeling, right? You're trying to speak English, or maybe you're listening, and there's that perfect word or that phrase, that idiom, and it's right there. You can almost taste it, but you just can't quite grab it. It's really frustrating.
Oh, absolutely. Remembering new vocabulary is one thing, but actually, using it effectively in conversation, that's a whole different ballgame.
Exactly, and that's what we're tackling today, head on.
We are. This deep dive is specifically for you, our listener. We've gone through the material you shared, the examples you've encountered, and our mission, really, is to cut through all that information.
Right.
We want to pull out the English phrases and idioms that are genuinely useful, the ones native speakers actually use day to day.
So not just textbook stuff.
Definitely not. We're not just going to give you definitions. The goal here is for you to really get the context, the nuance, the sort of feeling behind these phrases.
So they actually stick.
Exactly. So they stick, and so you feel confident using them yourself. We want you to understand why someone chooses a particular phrase.
Okay, so think of it as maybe a shortcut to sounding a bit more natural.
Yeah, I like that. A shortcut to natural fluency. We're going to unpack, well, a whole range of things today. Some really essential daily expressions first, then some phrases to help you sound more confident when you're speaking, and then we'll dive into some common idioms, sort of intermediate level, and then some more advanced ones too.
Sounds like a plan. Let's get right into it then, the real language people use. Where do we start?
Okay, let's kick off with those essential real-life phrases, the ones you'll hear, pretty often. First one, there's no place like it.
Ah, yeah. That's a good one. It really captures that feeling about a specific location, doesn't it? Like it's totally unique, special.
Precisely. It means something is one of a kind, unlike anywhere else you've been or could imagine.
Like that example from the source material. A magical picnic under the Eiffel Tower. You're sitting there, the lights, the atmosphere. You'd absolutely think, wow, there's no place like it.
You really would. Or think about coming home after a really long trip. You walk in the door, drop your bags, and just breathe.
Yeah, that feeling of familiarity, comfort.
Right. That's when you truly understand Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, right? There's no place like home. It's not just about the physical place. It's that deep emotional connection.
That connection is definitely key. It's more than just unique. It's uniquely special, either to you personally or maybe just in general. Like the material mentioned New York City.
Ah, yes. Describing it as unique within the U.S. because of its incredible energy and diversity.
You can easily say, when it comes to the kind of bustling 247 city vibe in the States, there's really no place quite like New York.
Perfect example. Okay, moving on slightly, but still related to places and services. To cater to someone.
Okay, cater to, that sounds like.
Yeah.
Providing something specific.
Exactly. It means providing something that a particular group of people needs or wants. You hear it a lot in business, hospitality, that sort of thing.
Right. The material gave the example of resorts in Costa Rica that cater to a Western audience.
So those resorts are specifically designed with the expectations of, say, American or European tourists in mind.
So maybe the types of food they offer, the room amenities, the activities, they're all geared towards those international visitors.
Precisely. And that might be quite different from what a resort catering primarily to local Costa Rican tourists might offer. It's about tailoring the experience.
Got it. Okay, next phrase touches on something a bit more societal. A position of privilege.
Yes, this one's important for understanding certain social dynamics, often discussed in English. It essentially means having an advantage or opportunity that isn't available to everyone.
It adds that layer of awareness, doesn't it? Recognizing that not everyone starts from the same place.
It does. The examples you shared were really helpful here, going to college, for instance.
Right. That often depends heavily on things like money, maybe where you live, what kind of support system you have.
Yeah.
Things not everyone has equal access to.
Exactly. And traveling abroad was the other big one mentioned.
Oh, definitely. Especially, as the source noted, in places like the U.S., international travel often requires quite a bit of money, plus needing time off work.
Which isn't always easy to get.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So for many people, it's simply not feasible. Recognizing that traveling abroad is often a position of privilege acknowledges the good fortune involved.
And maybe prompts a bit of gratitude if you do have that opportunity. It's a concise way to talk about, unequal access to opportunities.
Makes sense. Now, speaking of things that can be hard to grasp or relate to, the phrase, I cannot imagine.
Ooh, Ooh, yes. And notice the emphasis often lands heavily on cannot.
Yeah, you really stress it. I cannot imagine.
It really drives the point home. It expresses that something is so far outside your personal reality, your experience, or your understanding that you genuinely can't conceive of it.
The example given was incredibly powerful, not being able to imagine a 7-year-old child working in a mine.
Exactly. For most people hearing that, it's just unthinkable. It highlights such a stark contrast with their own lives or what they believe is right for children. It underscores perhaps a sense of relief or gratitude that this isn't their reality, even while acknowledging it exists or existed elsewhere.
It's a very strong way to express disbelief or just a fundamental disconnect from a situation. The material also had a lighter cultural example.
Right, the French custom of kissing cheeks as a standard greeting.
Yeah, someone from the U.S. might say, I just cannot imagine doing that with, like, my boss or colleagues here.
Because the norms around personal space are so different, it feels completely alien in that context. Some things just seem outside the realm of possibility for your own culture.
Which leads nicely into avoiding cultural mistakes.
Faux pas.
Yes.
Pronounced faux pas. Straight from French.
That means?
A social blunder. An embarrassing mistake you make because you didn't understand the unspoken rules of a situation or culture.
Super important to be aware of these when you travel or interact with different cultures.
Absolutely. The examples were spot on. Wearing white to a wedding in the U.S.
Big mistake, unless you're the bride.
Definitely a faux pas. And the other one, asking for a fork and knife in a South Korean restaurant where absolutely everyone is using chopsticks.
I loved the anecdote about that, how the person was so embarrassed by their faux pas that they basically mastered chopsticks almost overnight.
Yeah. See, sometimes a little embarrassment can be a powerful motivator to learn quickly. It really shows why learning about cultural norms matters.
Totally. Okay, shifting slightly. How about phrases that introduce something a bit surprising, or maybe an honest admission? Like, I must say, or the more casual, I gotta admit.
Good ones. These often signal that you're about to share a thought or observation that might be a little contrary to what someone expects, or maybe contrary to your own usual opinion, or just a candid observation.
So, like, maybe you don't usually enjoy war movies.
Right. But you watched one that was really exceptional. You could say, I don't typically like war movies, but I must say that one was incredibly well done.
Okay. Or, going back to the chopstick story.
Yes. The person who struggled initially might later reflect and say, I gotta admit, after that initial embarrassment, I actually got pretty good with chopsticks.
It introduces that slightly unexpected positive outcome or shift in perspective. And yeah, God, that's just a super common informal way we say got to.
Exactly. You hear it constantly in relaxed conversation.
Definitely. Okay, next one. To get used to something.
This is all about adaptation. Becoming comfortable or familiar with something new over a period of time.
And there was a pronunciation note.
Yes, important one. In natural, flowing speech, that added sound is used to often gets softened or almost disappears, blending with the T. So it sounds more like, "Yusta." I used to live there.
Got it. Yusta. Like, if you move from the quiet countryside to a busy city, you eventually get used to all the noise.
Perfect example. It takes time, but you adapt. The anecdote from the material was really illustrative, too, the person moving from Buenos Aires.
Oh, right, where they were so used to being very careful, like not wearing visible jewelry or having their phone out in public because of safety concerns.
And then moving to South Korea, where they perceived public safety to be much, much higher. They had to consciously get used to feeling safe, get used to not having to be so constantly vigilant.
Wow, that's a significant adaptation. It really shows how our environment shapes what feels normal or comfortable.
It really does. Okay, following that, let's look at a specific way we use the phrase to be able to tell something.
Now, this isn't about, like, telling someone news, is it?
No, not in this context. This usage means to deduce, figure out, or conclude something based on observation, evidence, or intuition. You're not communicating, you're understanding.
Okay, so if you walk outside and the ground is all wet.
You can tell it rained. Even if you didn't see it rain, the evidence tells you.
Right. Or after watching maybe the first video in an online course, you might feel, you can tell that the rest of the course is going to be really useful and well made.
Exactly. You're making a judgment based on what you've observed so far. The travel anecdote was interesting here, too.
The one about being able to tell people we're surprised the person was from the U.S.
Yes. Based purely on their reaction, maybe they stopped talking, stared for a second, asked direct questions like, "You're American." The person could tell or deduce the surprise from that nonverbal and verbal behavior.
So you're reading the signs, interpreting the situation. Got it. How about the word biased? We hear that a lot. To be biased.
Yes. This means that someone's opinion, judgment, or perspective is influenced, often unfairly, by their personal feeling, experiences, or preconceived notions. It usually means favoring one side or viewpoint over others.
The classic example is always the proud parent, right? A mother thinking her own kids are the most beautiful, talented kids in the world.
Exactly. She's probably a little biased. It's natural in that context, driven by love.
But understandable. The material also had that lighthearted example.
Oh, right, where someone's spouse gives them a nice compliment and they jokingly reply, you're just biased.
Meaning, of course you think I'm great, you're married to me. It dismisses the compliment playfully by suggesting it's based on relationship rather than objective fact.
But it's also used in much more serious contexts, of course, like identifying biased news reporting.
Yeah, where a news outlet might only present facts or stories that support one particular political viewpoint, ignoring the other side. That's biased reporting.
And that highlights why it's so important to get news from multiple sources, to try and get a more balanced picture and identify potential bias. It's about recognizing when perspective is skewing the information.
Crucial skill these days. Okay, now, for expressing something that seems completely illogical or just plain dangerous, the phrase, no one in their right mind.
This is a very strong idiom. It means that someone would have to be crazy, irrational, or just not thinking clearly to do something. Any sensible, reasonable person wouldn't even consider it.
It implies the action is obviously wrong or foolish. The extreme example given was
letting a young child, like a 7-year-old, drive a car. I mean, clearly, no one in their right mind would ever allow that. It's inherently dangerous and irresponsible.
absolutely. The material also applied it to something less extreme but still practical. Walkability issues in some parts of the U.S.
Right, saying that even if stores are technically close by, like just across a big, busy road, if there are no safe crosswalks or sidewalks, then no one in their right mind would actually try to walk there because it's just too dangerous with the traffic.
Even if it looks close on a map, the reality makes it undoable for a pedestrian. It vividly paints a picture of a really bad idea or an unsafe situation.
It really does. Okay, just before we move to the next section, there's a nice bonus phrase included. To be game for something.
Oh yeah, I like this one. Sounds very easygoing.
It is. It means you're willing, enthusiastic, or ready to try something new or participate in an activity, often something spontaneous or unplanned.
Like if a friend suggests trying a new Thai restaurant that just opened, you might say, yeah, I'm game for that.
Exactly. Or the other example being always game for having an easygoing conversation. It shows you're open, flexible, and generally have a positive, can-do attitude towards things.
Like one to have in your back pocket. Okay,
Yeah.
So that covers a lot of really foundational, real-life expressions. Where do we go next?
Let's shift gears now. We'll look at some phrases that can specifically help you sound more confident when you're speaking English. Because confidence isn't just what you say, but how you say it.
That's a great point. It's about delivery and interaction, too. So what's first for boosting confidence?
Let's start with, I hear you.
I hear you. Okay, seems simple, but how is it confident?
Well, it's fantastic because it confidently acknowledges the other person's point first. It shows you've listened, you understand their perspective. Then it allows you to smoothly introduce your own, possibly different viewpoint.
Ah, I see. So you're validating them before disagreeing or adding nuance, like the example. I hear you, but maybe there's another way we could look at this.
Precisely. You're showing respect for their view while confidently holding your own ground or offering an alternative. It's collaborative but firm.
Got it. Okay, next, a phrase that definitely grabs attention. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, this one adds some punch. You use it when you want to confidently share a really strong opinion, emphasize a personal experience, or just make a point forcefully.
So instead of just saying, those tacos were pretty good,
You'd say, let me tell you, the tacos from that food truck, they were absolutely the best I have ever had. See the difference? It adds conviction, personal testimony, excitement.
it really does. You're asserting your strong feeling or maybe your expertise on that particular taco truck. Okay, how about, fair enough, I feel like I use this one quite a bit.
It's incredibly common and very useful. It basically means, okay, I understand your point, or that makes sense as a reason. You often use it when you're accepting someone's decision, explanation, or situation, even if it wasn't what you initially wanted or expected.
Like the example. Your spouse is really tired after a long week. and wants to stay home instead of going out.
Hmm.
You might be disappointed, but you say.
Okay, fair enough. It shows you understand and accept their reason being tired without arguing. It's a confident acceptance.
Yeah, it's a concise way to acknowledge their logic and move on.
Yeah.
Very similar, then, is just saying, that makes sense.
Exactly. It performs a similar function. It directly confirms that you find the other person's statement, reason, or situation logical and understandable. Someone had a crazy day with family visiting, they're exhausted.
You say, yeah, that makes sense. I'd be tired too after all that.
Right. It shows empathy and confirms you grasp the logic of their situation. Simple, clear, confident understanding.
Yeah, and expressing gratitude confidently. I appreciate that.
Yes. It's a clear, direct, and confident way to show thankfulness, much stronger than just a quick thanks.
The example was good. I really appreciate that you brought over dinner when I had the new baby.
Perfect. It specifies what you appreciate and expresses genuine gratitude in an unambiguous way. It feels more substantial.
It definitely does. Okay, this next one feels like taking control. Let's get to it.
It absolutely signals taking initiative. It means you're deciding it's time to start an action or task that's been discussed or planned.
Like, okay, we've talked about painting this living room for months. Enough talk. Let's get to it this weekend.
Exactly. It shifts the energy from planning or procrastinating to actually doing. It shows decisiveness.
Taking charge. Now, I beg to differ. This sounds quite formal, maybe even a bit old-fashioned.
It can sound a little formal, yes, but it's still used. It's a polite but very clear and confident way to state your disagreement or offer a contrary opinion. And no, you're not actually begging.
Good to know. The example in the material was about a hike, right?
Yes. Spouse thinks it's a bad idea because everyone seems grumpy. The other person says, I beg to differ. I actually think getting outside might be exactly what we need.
And then, crucially, the hike turns out to be a good thing. So it shows that confidently asserting a different perspective, politely, can be valuable. You're respectfully standing your ground.
Precisely. Now, how about suggesting something? What do you think?
Seems pretty basic, but how is it confident?
It shows confidence because you're comfortable putting forward your own idea or suggestion, and you're confident enough to immediately invite the other person's opinion. It signals collaboration and valuing their input.
So, I was thinking we could go to the beach this weekend. What do you think?
Perfect. You're proposing something and actively seeking their buy-in or feedback. It's open and assertive at the same time.
Okay. Now, on the opposite end of disagreement is maximum agreement. I couldn't agree more.
Exactly. This means you have reached the absolute peak of agreement. There is no higher level. You agree 100%, completely and totally.
So if someone says, this coffee shop makes the best latte, and you feel the exact same way,
You'd respond with enthusiasm. Oh, I couldn't agree more. It's amazing. It signifies complete alignment.
total consensus. Got it. How about acknowledging someone else's good idea? That's a great point.
This is a confident and generous way to acknowledge the value of something someone else has said. It shows you're listening actively and can recognize a good contribution.
The example was about painting the room. Someone points out you really need to patch the holes in the wall before you start painting.
And the response is, that's a great point. I almost forgot that step. It validates their input and shows you appreciate their foresight or observation.
Giving credit where it's due, confidently. Okay, I'll look into it.
This phrase shows confidence because you're taking responsibility. You're committing to investigating, researching, or finding out more about something.
Like if a friend mentions concert tickets are really expensive, you might say, let me see if I can find them cheaper somewhere else. I'll look into it.
Exactly. It's a proactive offer to help and shows you're willing to take ownership of finding a solution or information.
Taking initiative. Similar vibe with, how can I help?
Very similar. It's a direct, clear, and confident offer of support or assistance. It shows willingness and capability.
The example's really good. One spouse needs quiet time to film videos for work.
And the other spouse steps up and asks, okay, how can I help? Should I take the kids out? Keep the house quiet? It's specific and proactive.
And the related phrase was, how can I make this easier for you? Both are just really strong, supportive, and confident ways to offer assistance.
They really are. Okay, another one for showing understanding and empathy. I get where you're coming from.
This sounds a bit more casual than, say, I understand your perspective.
It is definitely more casual, more conversational. It means, I understand your point of view. I see why you feel that way.
Yeah.
It's often used to build rapport and show empathy, especially maybe in a tricky or sensitive situation.
Like comforting a friend who's been betrayed and is now finding it hard to trust people.
Exactly. Saying, oh man, I totally get where you're coming from validates their feelings. It shows you understand the emotional logic behind their hesitation, even if you might gently follow it up with a but to offer a slightly different perspective eventually.
It really connects on that empathetic level first.
Hmm.
Okay, what about managing the flow of a conversation confidently? Maybe pausing something. Let's talk about it later.
Yes, this is a polite but firm way to control the conversation's timing. You're deciding that now isn't the right moment for a particular discussion and postponing it.
Like the example. You're trying to watch a movie, and someone keeps trying to talk about something serious. You could say,
Hey, can we talk about it later? I just want to focus on the movie right now. It sets a clear boundary, politely.
okay, clear and polite boundary setting. And the last one for this confidence section. Keep me in the loop.
This is a confident request for information. You're asking someone to make sure you receive updates or are kept informed about ongoing plans, changes, or developments.
Like, if friends are making plans to get together, but the details aren't finalized, you might say.
Sounds good. Just keep me in the loop about the final time and place. It ensures you won't be left out of the communication and can stay prepared.
Making sure you stay informed. Got it. Wow. Okay, we've covered essential phrases, confident language. Now it's time for the fun stuff. Idioms.
Indeed. Those phrases where the meaning is figurative, not literal, they can really make your English sound more natural, but they can also be tricky. We'll start with some common intermediate level ones.
Okay, intermediate idioms. What's first?
Hands down.
Hands down. I think I know this one. It means like, definitely, absolutely.
You got it. It means without a doubt, certainly, unquestionably. If you say, that place makes the best pizza, hands down, you mean there's no competition in your mind? It's simply the best.
Adds real emphasis.
Yeah.
Okay,
Next.
right off the bat.
Right off the bat. Sounds like baseball.
It does originate from baseball, but it means immediately from the very beginning, instantly. Ah, okay. The example was you can't expect to make a ton of friends right off the bat when you move to a new city.
Exactly. It takes time. Things don't usually happen instantly or right at the start.
Makes sense. Okay, how about in a rush, or the very similar in a hurry?
Pretty straightforward, these ones. They just mean you need to do something quickly, usually because you're short on time or late.
Like leaving home a bit earlier in the morning, so you're not in a rush to get to work through traffic.
Perfect example. Simple, practical, used all the time. Related to time pressure again. At the last minute.
At the last minute, so just before the deadline.
Exactly. Just in time. Often surprisingly or unexpectedly late in the process. It often implies a bit of stress or franticness.
Like the anecdote about managing to find your plane tickets at the last minute, right before boarding the flight. A bit too close for comfort.
Phew, yeah. Cutting it very fine. Okay, now a phrase for when things feel like too much. In over my head.
In over my head, like you're drowning.
That's the image, yeah. It means you're overwhelmed, you've taken on a task, or gotten into a situation that is too difficult or complicated for you to handle.
Like buying a really old house that needs tons of repairs and suddenly realizing there are way more problems than you expected.
You could easily feel in over your head. And remember, the possessive pronoun changes. I'm in over my head. He realized he was in over his head. Are you feeling in over your head?
Got it. Feeling completely swamped.
Oh.
Okay, shifting gears to time again. Back in the day.
This phrase refers to a time in the past, often implying it feels like a long time ago, and sometimes used with a hint of nostalgia, or to contrast with the present.
So it could be relatively recent, like back in the day, before everyone had smartphones.
Exactly. Or it could refer to a much longer time ago, like back in the day, people had to hunt for their food. It just sets a past context.
Okay, next. All year round.
This means continuously throughout the entire year, during all seasons.
And the pronunciation point was important. It's round, not around.
Right. Like, thanks to global shipping, you can buy certain fruits all year round now, not just when they're locally in season. Or the example of someone who likes to buy Christmas presents all year round to spread out the cost.
Continuous, through all 12 months. Got it. For avoiding something. To steer clear.
This means to deliberately avoid a person, place, or situation, usually because you know there's a potential problem, danger, or unpleasantness associated with it.
Like deciding to steer clear of that part of town known for terrible traffic during rush hour.
Perfect. Or maybe deciding to steer clear of your boss for a while if they seem like they're in a really bad mood, just keeping their distance from trouble.
Good strategy sometimes. Okay, how about when something happens unexpectedly, out of the blue?
This idiom means suddenly, unexpectedly, without any warning or prior announcement.
Like a surprise event.
Yeah.
The example is someone just showing up at your house out of the blue.
Right. Though, as the material pointed out, that's maybe less common or even considered a bit rude in some cultures, like the US, where you'd usually call first before dropping by. But the phrase itself means completely unexpected arrival or news.
A sudden surprise. Okay, last one for this intermediate set. On their side.
This refers to agreement or support in a dispute, argument, or competition. It's about whose viewpoint or team you align with, not physical location.
So in an argument, you might ask someone, wait, whose side are you on? Are you on their side? I thought you were on my side.
Exactly. It's questioning their allegiance or support. And again, the pronoun changes. My side, your side, his side, her side, their side.
It's about who you're backing in that situation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great set of intermediate idioms. Ready to level up.
Let's do it. Moving on to some common advanced English idioms. These often add even more nuance or sophistication to your language.
Okay, advanced idioms, bring it on. What's first?
Let's start with the structure. Why not something?
Okay, why not? Doesn't this just sound like asking for a reason not to do something?
It can look that way, but idiomatically, it's actually used to make a suggestion or encourage someone to consider an idea. It's a gentle way of proposing something.
Ah, okay. So the example, if you want to make money playing music, why not set up a stand on a busy street corner?
Precisely. It's not asking for objections. It's saying, have you considered this possibility? Maybe you should try this. It frames the suggestion softly.
Interesting nuance. Okay, next. It turns out that.
This phrase is used to introduce a result, fact, or outcome, especially one that is surprising, unexpected, or different from what was previously thought or planned.
Like you meticulously planned your application for one specific university. You were sure you'd get in,
Yeah.
but then
Yeah.
it turns out that your application was rejected.
Exactly. It reveals the actual situation or outcome, often contrasting it with a prior expectation. We thought the party was canceled, but it turns out that it's still on.
Revealing the true state of affairs. Okay, to have a hand in.
This means to be involved in or to participate in the process of creating, influencing, or carrying out something. You contributed, but you weren't necessarily the only one responsible.
So you could say a particular city council member had a hand in designing the new park.
Right. They were part of the committee, they offered ideas, they influenced the final design. Even if many other people were also involved, they played a role.
Being part of the creation or influence. Got it. How about to have an eye for?
This idiom means you're particularly good at noticing, appreciating, judging, or identifying a specific quality or type of thing.
Like saying someone has an eye for fashion means they're good at recognizing or choosing stylish clothes.
Exactly. Or someone might have an eye for detail, meaning they're skilled at noticing small but important elements that others might miss. Or an eye for spotting talent. It's about having a specific kind of perception or judgment.
Recognizing quality or specific characteristics.
Okay.
Next, off the beaten path.
This refers to locations, routes, or experiences that are not the usual popular or commonly visited ones. It implies going somewhere less conventional, more hidden, or away from the main tourist trails.
And there was that pronunciation note again for American English. Beaten often gets that glottal stop, sounding like being off the bean path.
Good catch, yes.
Mm.
So when you travel, if you like to explore side streets, find small local restaurants, or visit less famous landmarks, you're looking for places off the beaten path.
Seeking out the less touristy, maybe more authentic experiences. Okay. A really common phrase for just introducing a topic, what it comes to.
Incredibly useful phrase. It's used simply to specify the particular topic or subject you are about to discuss or make a comment on. It narrows the focus.
Like, when it comes to baking bread, you need a lot of patience. Or, my brother is useless around the house, but when it comes to fixing cars, he's a genius.
Perfect examples. It clearly signals this is the specific area I'm talking about now, provides a clear frame.
Very handy.
Yeah.
Okay, this next one comes from gambling. Up the ante.
Yes, it originates from poker, where ante is the initial stake you put in. To up the ante means to increase the stakes, the risk, the level of commitment, or the difficulty involved in a situation.
And pronounced like the name Annie, right? Up the ante.
That's right. The example was a coach deciding to up the ante. By adding more intense training sessions before a big competition, they're increasing the demands.
Raising the level, making it harder or more serious.
Got it. How about expressing quiet anger or frustration under his breath?
This means to say something very quietly, mumbling it so that others can't easily hear, usually because you're annoyed, angry, or disagreeing, but don't want to say it out loud directly.
And again, the pronoun changes. Under my breath, under her breath, under your breath.
Correct. Like maybe after your boss yells at you unfairly, you might mutter something angry under your breath if you walk away. It's a way of expressing negativity without direct confrontation.
Keeping that reaction sort of hidden, okay, for something much nicer. To shoot the breeze. This is a great informal idiom. It just means to chat casually, to have a relaxed, aimless conversation about unimportant things. Just talking for the sake of talking.
Like friends getting together on a Sunday afternoon, maybe playing some cards, and just shooting the breeze for a few hours.
Exactly. It's light, easygoing conversation. No serious agenda, just enjoying each other's company and chatting.
Just hanging out. Okay, and our final advanced idiom for this deep dive, to have a say.
This means to have the right or opportunity to be involved in making a decision, to have your opinion considered and given weight.
So in a healthy relationship or partnership, both people should have a say in important decisions like where to live or how to spend money.
Ideally, yes. It means your voice matters, your opinion is part of the process. The material also mentioned the negative form, which is also common. You don't have a say in this, meaning your opinion is irrelevant or won't be considered.
So it's really about having influence and your perspective being valued in the decision-making process.
Fundamentally, yes. It's about agency and participation.
Wow. Okay, Lisa, we have really covered a ton of ground today. Seriously. From those absolutely essential must-know daily phrases through language to build confidence, and then navigating both intermediate and some pretty advanced idioms. My head is spinning a little.
Mine too.
Yeah.
We really did pack a lot in. But the key thing, Liam, like we said at the start, isn't just hearing this massive list.
Right.
It's about seeing how they're used, understanding the context, the feeling behind them, like in the examples from the material you listeners provided. That's what truly makes them come alive and hopefully helps them stick in your memory.
Absolutely. It's the context that makes the difference. So I guess the challenge for you listening right now is to maybe not try and memorize all 50 of these by tomorrow.
Definitely not.
But maybe pick out, say, 2 or 3, perhaps one from each section, an essential phrase, a confident one, an idiom that really caught your ear or felt particularly useful for you.
That's a great approach. Just pick a few that resonated. And then the crucial step, actively try to use them this week.
Yeah, maybe slip one into an English conversation if you get the chance. Or use it in an email. Even just practice using it in a sentence in your head when a situation comes up where it fits.
Exactly. That deliberate practice, trying it out, that's where the real learning happens. It shifts these phrases from just being things you recognize passively to being tools you can actively use to express yourself more precisely, more naturally, and more confidently in English, which ultimately is what this deep dive was all about helping you do.
Couldn't agree more. And hey, if you found this deep dive useful, if you learned something new or just enjoyed the conversation,
we'd really appreciate it if you could take a second to hit that like button.
Yeah, and maybe share with a friend or colleague who's also working on their English.
Yeah.
And definitely subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss out on our future deep dives into other fascinating aspects of language and communication.
Please do. And as you go about your week, maybe trying out, I must admit, or deciding to steer clear of something, here's a final thought to ponder. Something to chew on. Think about how understanding these subtle differences in language, choosing an idiom like in over my head instead of just saying I feel overwhelmed, or using off the beaten path instead of less popular places. How does that shift things? Does it change not just what you can communicate, but maybe also how you perceive or interpret the situations themselves and the cultural nuances embedded in the language?
That's deep.
Yeah.
It's not just about having more words, is it? It's almost like getting a new pair of glasses, seeing the world, or at least the English-speaking world, with a bit more clarity and detail.
Precisely. It adds layers of meaning and understanding, something to think about. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.